The Magic got outworked against the Golden State Warriors. Now that we've admitted that, how do the Magic move forward to meet their standard again? Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is December 23rd, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, a freely admitted but major admission that the Orlando Magic got outworked against Golden State Warriors, how the Magic failed to meet their standard for really a second straight game, maybe a third straight game, and how the Magic can get back on the horse. Plus, another big admission, the Magic really missed Franz, Wagner, and Jalen Suggs. We'll talk about how they played since the injuries coming up here in just a moment. First, I want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies, one of our everydayers. That means you're listening 5 days a week. That means you're listening on the weekends. That means you're making us part of your daily podcast rotation, your first listen of the day. We truly appreciate everyone who's made the Locked On Magic community so great, and we truly appreciate you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Jamal Mosley opened his post-game press conference on Monday night after the Magic lost the Golden State Warriors 120-97 with one simple but stunning admission. We got outworked. We got outworked. Just plain and simple, that's the best way to define this game. The Warriors won it, not going to take anything away from them, but so much was in the Magic's hands. So much was there for Orlando to take care of, for Orlando to do to win this game. And there were good things that the Magic did for the first 3 quarters. But at every turn, at every opportunity the Magic had to take control of the game, to expand the lead, to put their grips onto this thing, this game was begging for one team to take control, for one team to clean up their mistakes and win the dang thing. You can listen to our friends at Locked On Warriors. I'm sure they will tell you the first 3 quarters of this game were a complete slog that both teams should be embarrassed by. That's probably too strong. But both teams probably entered their timeouts heading into the fourth quarter thinking, we have got to play better. We are giving this game away. This game was there for someone to seize. Orlando led by 4 after 1 quarter. They trailed by 1 at half. They were down 6 at the end of the third quarter, and you could already begin to see the wheels falling off for Orlando because throughout the course of this game, Golden State was first to every 50-50 ball. They were grabbing offensive rebounds, something they don't typically do. They were converting off of turnovers, which the Magic don't typically do. They were busting the Magic's defensive coverage because Orlando was scared to death of Steph Curry. And we'll get to the defense they played on Steph Curry because I thought they did a good job on Steph Curry. They were scared to death of Steph Curry, but everybody else was eating and getting involved. And at every point there was a 50-50 ball. Every point there was a rebound or a loose ball or just the ball just floating on the court. The Warriors were first to it. Eventually the dam broke. Golden State went on a 15-0 run that started in the third quarter and lasted into the fourth quarter. Orlando went without a field goal for, I think it was 4 minutes in the third and fourth quarters. And suddenly a 6-point lead. The Magic turned the ball over on the first 3 possessions of the fourth quarter. At a moment when the lead was starting to shake, when the Magic needed baskets, needed to stop the bleeding, just like they did Saturday against Utah, they gave the ball away. and Golden State made them pay. Golden State, and it wasn't Steph Curry. Steph made a 3 during that run, but it wasn't Steph Curry. That's Brendan Pajemski, who just outworked everybody on the Magic's roster. It was Quentin Post finally breaking through and finding shots. It was Gary Payton II getting to the rim. It was Moses Moody hitting some threes. The Magic had this game in their grasps if they had simply played Orlando Magic basketball. If they would have simply dug in on defense, gotten a little gritty, gotten a little dirty, played with some patience and some poise, locked down the offensive glass, because I can't count how many times in this game the Magic had to stop and gave up an offensive rebound that led to a Steph Curry 3 or a Pajemski 3 or a Moses Moody 3 or whoever's 3-point shot it was going to be. Orlando gave up 24 second chance points to the Golden State Warriors. 14 offensive rebounds and 24 second chance points. We could dive deeper into that. Magic gave up 62 points in the paint. That's inexcusable, even if you are trying to keep Curry from getting going. And the Warriors only took 37 threes. Magic did a good job defensively on the 3-point line. 11 for 37 from 3. Golden State shot worse than 30% from 3. That's a game you win. But Golden State was able to get to the paint. A team that averages 23 free throw attempts at 24 in this game. They had 14 in the second quarter alone. Orlando couldn't get out of their own way. And ultimately, Golden State outscored Orlando 31-14 in the fourth quarter. The rope was completely let go. And we'll get to individual performances and why the Magic couldn't find any offense. But 18 turnovers for 21 points. 9 second chance points off of 16 offensive rebounds. The Magic were 4 for 17 on second chance field goals. The Warriors had 24, 11 for 14. They burned them on every mistake. The Warriors had 62 points in the paint for a team that doesn't have a major interior presence. The Magic's defense was just, frankly, non-existent. A 121.2 defensive rating. That's not Magic basketball. The Warriors were more physical. The Warriors were more aggressive. The Warriors were harder working. They forced a lot of these mistakes, but Orlando did a lot of this to themselves. And it'd be one thing if this were just one game. Everyone has a bad night. But man, did Orlando look sluggish. Man, did Orlando not look super engaged in this game. Man, did Orlando look like they were going through the motions or moving through mud or just... I made this point, both teams did not play well for a good chunk of this game. Golden State played well at the end, and that's why they won. The defensive intensity in this game felt like a preseason game. Just plain and simple. Felt like a preseason game. To the fans that made this comment, and I agree with it, the defensive effort tonight looked like the defensive effort against Philadelphia and Detroit back in October. And the only difference, the reason why the result isn't the same, because the Magic know what they're doing on offense now. And the Golden State may not be as good as those two teams. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial there. Golden State's kind of struggled this year. It's not the loss that should burn you. Losing to Golden State, it happens. They're a better team than their record. We know the talent that they have. What burns you is that the Magic didn't play with the Magic intensity, with Magic effort. And for a really a third straight game, maybe a fourth straight game if you want to include the New York game and the NBA Cup, for a fourth straight game, the Magic let another team take it to them. And that's not Magic basketball. That's not going to lead to this team's success. That's not going to deliver the what the Magic know they can accomplish. Because if this were just a 500 team, you chalk this up to like, oh, okay, bad night. It happens. They're still figuring themselves out. Even with all their injuries, we know how good this team can be. And look, Paolo can have an up and down game. Desmond Bane can have an up and down game. AB is AB. When, like there's inconsistency in this roster because of the injuries. But the one thing that can't be shaken, the one thing that cannot change is precision and intensity. The Magic cannot get outworked. And every stat, every number, every eye test of this game tells you Golden State outworked Orlando. And that's the part that's inexcusable. The Magic failed to meet their standard. So now that we have a trend, a couple games, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, is this merely a problem with injuries? Do Franz, Wagner, and Jalen Suggs fix this? The Magic might finally be openly asking that question. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, the momentum flips after a turnover, a couple made baskets in basketball. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. There's a lot of good football on this week with bowl games. Go Cats on Friday, as well as plenty of NFL coming up this week. But hey, we're a basketball podcast. If you're looking to get in on the action for the Magic and the Blazers on Tuesday, the Magic heading to Portland is 2-point favorites. Even after tonight's game, the Magic are 2-point favorites at Portland, over under of 232.5, and what is expected to be a pretty good defensive battle if the Magic defense shows up, which it did not on Monday. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL or NBA live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You're listening every day already, right? Right. Well, if you're not, go ahead and make that part of your routine. And if you are, take it to the next level with the Everydayer Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed of Locked On Magic, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat for listeners of this show. And you can hang out with me. I'm in there all the time. I'm waiting for the community to grow a little bit, but you can always ask me questions. I'll definitely prioritize the Everydayer Club. And you get exclusive stuff from Locked On, including exclusive Locked On Todays as well. So go to lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. It's a West Coast trip, so there's not a lot of traveling media. Our friend Josh Robbins of The Athletic is out on the trip right now. The Magic's media is out there already, and it was mildly surprising to hear some questions to Jamal Mosley and to Anthony Black, which was aired on the FanDuel Sports Network Florida broadcast, asking this very straightforward question. Do you guys miss Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, and Tristan da Silva? There's a fair theory of the case here that right now the Magic's only goal is to hold the boat steady. Tristan da Silva has been out for the last 3 games now with a shoulder contusion. He has been dealing with a right shoulder issue that might explain why his jumper suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. The Magic are letting that heal up. Franz Wagner, Mo Wagner, they both stayed home to help recover with their injuries. Jalen Suggs has been on the strip, and for the last 2 games at least, was upgraded to doubtful. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm not with the team. But that certainly suggests he's made progress, and that to me, it signals that a good chunk of what the Magic were hoping to do was just to get him off his feet, get him away from the contact and bustle of an NBA season, to clear up and just let heal whatever ailments he has beyond just the hip. And again, we all suspect that it isn't just a hip contusion with Jalen Suggs. It's an accumulation of all the hits that he takes over the course of the season. He's been dealing with a groin issue since that Knicks game, since the Knicks game that Franz got injured in New York. He's always dealing with something. He's Jalen Suggs. He will play through it. But again, if the dude can walk, he can play. I kind of take his upgrading to doubtful as being, if we really need him, he can go. But we would prefer not to play him right now and let all these little ailments get better. I very much suspect that he'll be upgraded to questionable for Friday's game against Charlotte, and we'll go from there. Again, that's just me speculating. There is a lot of me that believes a lot of the Magic's problems right now get fixed by Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner returning. Again, so much of this right now is just hold the boat steady. Pick up some wins. Don't lose ground. Just kind of stay afloat. You're playing an easier schedule. You should still be able to pick up wins. And Golden State was, even though they're below 500, so the Magic are now 8-2 against teams that are below 500. Even though they're below 500, they're a good team. No one's losing to the Golden State Warriors. Again, the problem in this game is not that the Magic lost to the Warriors. There's no shame in that. The problem is the way they lost, how lifeless their defense looked, and just how frustrated they seemed to get because they couldn't finish at the rim. They couldn't get foul calls, all these multitude of things. Jalen Suggs fixes a lot of the defensive intensity issues. That guy plays so hard and will not let a loose ball get by him. He is someone that's going to sacrifice his body, and he would meet Brandon Pajemski on the floor for every one of those loose balls. So, yes, the Magic got outworked. They got outworked in this game. I thought they got outworked against Utah, and that's a big reason why I think Utah was able to close down that deficit. The Magic were a far better team and played far better, but Utah had more energy. Jalen Suggs is a guy that doesn't let energy wane. Franz Wagner is very much proven to be a key defensive cog. His ability to switch onto guards and just be another big body to throw at people, in addition to just how good his decision-making is, how capable he is at getting to the basket, getting quality shots, making those kind of tough runners and tough floaters and tough layups that the Magic are just missing left and right now. There is every reason to believe that, yes, having Franz Wagner and the matchup problems he creates and the matchup decisions he forces other teams to make that right now teams don't have to make would change things, especially because Jalen Suggs is a reliable catch-and-shoot three-pointer, and Franz Wagner has become a reliable catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Since the injury then, let's start there. Since the injury, the Magic are 20th in the league in offensive rating. They're 2-3 in their last 5 games since Franz Wagner's injury. So I'm not including the New York game that he got hurt. The Magic have a 111.6 offensive rating. Again, they're about 115 for the season. Their defensive rating is 24th, 118.3. Now, there's been some blowouts. There's Denver blowout. There's, this game. So it's a small sample. But very, very clearly, Paolo is not right yet. And New York was a 12-point game too. But very, very clearly, Paolo is not right yet. He's getting there. He's been better. But still a lot of work to do. Still has the long stretches where he's not good. And when he's not good, it's bad. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Desmond Bane as a number 2 option is hit or miss. And we knew that even during the stretch where Paolo was out and Franz was in, but you always had Jalen Suggs as a backstop. And to me, like, that's as much of the thing the Magic are missing. That to me is as much a thing that the Magic are missing. They are relying on the same guys. And we could call the by committee thing a little bit of a farce. It's not a farce, but the by committee thing is, yes, the ball's going to find who it needs to find to contribute, and that player has to step up when the ball comes to them. You still need your stars to be your stars. And we're going to talk about what Desmond Bane and Paolo Banchero did in just a moment. But the by committee thing works for the stars too, because one game it might be Paolo that the defense is saying, okay, Paolo needs to beat us. It might be Franz. It might be Des. It might be Jalen. And the point is, when you're healthy, you have those options. The Magic are missing 2 of those key options. And look, Des was always going to be a little inconsistent. Like that's what he was in Memphis too. Like, I think the Magic have had to ask Des to do a lot more. And look, he's been very capable, and he's, again, they're putting up the numbers. The numbers aren't the problem. It's the balance and the key. And look, the Magic should expect Paolo to be better than he's been. And I want to talk very specifically about Paolo in a moment. I don't want to beat you over the head with Paolo stuff. I think I'm clear where I'm at with Paolo, and I've been, maybe I haven't, I don't know, but we'll get to Paolo stuff. Right now, like, the injuries, you can't use it as an excuse. The team's got to be better. The team's got to be more consistent. The team's got to find the energy. The injuries cannot be an excuse. But I think everybody can sense that, yes, getting healthy fixes a lot of things. Getting healthy brings back the Magic's best lineups. Not just that starting group that is so good. That starting group that is still the 3rd best lineup in the league that's played at least 100 minutes together. It just helps everyone kind of fall into the right roles and gives the team the ability to be flexible and take what the game gives them instead of forcing things. Injuries are not an excuse. The Magic have to play better. If they've set a standard for themselves, they have not met it on this road trip. And, they're a little bit lucky to be 1-2. And beating Portland, it's not a must win, but you want to go 2-2 on these road trips. It's a big game on Tuesday. It's a big game just to respond to how bad this game against Golden State was. Will Franz and Suggs fix this? They'll help a lot. And that right now might be the biggest flaw in the team. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about the box score. We'll talk about Paolo's game. We'll talk about Dez's game. We'll talk about the rest of the roster coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opening, beating your personal record, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney, your money, your move. As we do after every game, let's dive into the box scores. The Orlando Magic fall to the Golden State Warriors 120-97. Again, this was a tight game. It was an ugly game. It was a poorly played game. It was a frustrating game, but the Magic had every opportunity to win this one. They had every opportunity to pull away and win this thing. They led by as much as 7 in this game, and they just completely unraveled in the fourth quarter. Just completely unraveled. They shot 41.4% for the game, 7 for 27 from beyond the arc. That's 25.9%. Through the first 3 quarters, they shot 47.7% and 6 for 16 from 3. In the fourth quarter, they were just 5 for 22 and 1 for 11 for 3. Paolo Banchero was 0 for 2, 0 for 1 in the fourth quarter. Again, Desmond Bain was the only player to make more than 1 field goal in the fourth quarter. It was just a disaster. Again, the Magic turned the ball over on their first 3 possessions. They had 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter, but they turned the ball over on their first 3 possessions, allowing Golden State to take a 6-point lead and turn it into, I believe they turned it into a 14-point lead in those 3 possessions. And it was 17 or 18 quickly after that. So Orlando beat themselves. And again, Golden State deserves credit. I'm not taking credit away from Golden State. They were the more energetic, more aggressive team. That team's going to win most of the time. They were first to every loose ball. And again, that's not Orlando Magic basketball. It's unfair to put all this on one player. And so I'm not going to put it all on Paolo Banchero. It was a collectively bad effort, especially on defense. And, it wasn't Stephen Curry that killed you, although he had 26. It was Moses Moody's 20 points, 8 for 11, 3 for 6 shooting. It was Jimmy Butler with 21 points, 6 for 7 from the foul line. It was Brandon Pajemski with 16 points. He was a plus 36 in this game. Plus 36. You got to win the minutes when Curry's off the floor. Magic didn't do that. Brandon Pajemski just outworked Orlando at every turn. And again, that is inexcusable. I don't want to put all the blame on Paolo because I still think Paolo is doing some really good things. And I think that Paolo's jumper is not there. He knows it's not there. You can see him hesitating and thinking through shots, passing up open shots he's got to take. But I think he's generally, and this is very generally, and I'll stipulate in a sec, I think he's generally working around it. I thought Paolo did a really good job attacking the paint, especially early, attacking quickly, getting to the basket, getting the foul line. He was 7 for 8 from the foul line. Free throws weren't the problem today. He was 7 for 19 for the game. He was 5 for 12 at halftime, 3 for 9 in the second quarter. I'll get to that in a minute. 7 for 17 through the first 3 quarters. Not ideal, but he was getting to the basket, getting to the rim, missed some shots at the rim. Everybody did in this game. Orlando was 25 for 52 in the paint. Again, left a lot of points on the board. You missed 20. You're under 50% in the paint. That's a problem. You're getting there, but Golden State scored 12 more points in the paint than you did on 5 fewer field goals, on 5 fewer field goal attempts. That's a problem. The Magic got their opportunities and they missed them. And Paolo was as guilty of that as anyone else. But I generally think Paolo is trying to do the right things. And ever since he came back from injury, he's been trying to move the ball quicker. He's been trying to attack quicker. He's been trying not to hold the ball as much. And I do want to give him credit for that. He understands he's not making jumpers right now. And so for the most part, he's not settling. Now, there is an exception. Late second quarter, Orlando's up. I think they're up 4. Took a bad 3-pointer. Golden State came down and scored. Took a bad mid-range jumper. Golden State came down and scored. And that's how Golden State took a 1-point lead into the locker room. Right now, the problem is, and look, Paolo had 21 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. That's 3 straight games with at least almost a triple-double. He was 26, 9, and 9 on Saturday. Had the triple-double, 23, 10, 11, I think it was, against the Nuggets. If Paolo Banchero is a consistent triple-double threat, the Magic could be very happy. That's what they imagined from him. What they're missing is the efficiency. And unfortunately right now, there are a lot of good Paolo moments. Paolo's a big reason why the Magic were still in this game despite how poorly they played. But there are also long stretches right now where Paolo is just really bad. Turning the ball over. He had 4 turnovers in this game. 2 of them were difficult passes that sailed out of bounds. Again, just trying to make these cross-court passes. Like, he's trying to pass the ball and move the ball. He had 2 turnovers, like, right in that fourth quarter. Like, again, just back-breaking turnovers. Some of his jumper decisions and shot decisions just weren't good. And all of these mistakes tend to clump together. And again, it's one thing if you have like a Franz Wagner. If you have Franz Wagner to kind of alleviate pressure. Right now, teams can throw triple teams at him. They're not worried about anybody. They're not scared of anybody on this team. They're going to stop Paolo. They're going to make him really think and be uncomfortable. And Golden State, I thought, did a good job defensively on Paolo. The bottom line is when Paolo wants to get to the basket and is smart and reads the defense well, he is unstoppable. He is that good of a player. And that's why we're holding him to such a high standard. That's why we expect so much from him. He's earned this respect. He's earned this criticism. He's earned the right to be criticized when he doesn't uphold the standard. And I want to get started on his defense. The defense was RUF rough. It's been rough since he came back. It feels like he is processing things just a step slow. And maybe it's unfair to be so critical of him because, it's been, 7 games now since he came back. His numbers are starting to track back. Like, his raw counting stats are starting to track back to like, okay, this is a player again. But it's also about impact on winning. And you're just not feeling the impact on winning as much. Especially with Franz and Jalen out, the Magic need more from Paolo. And that's my only point right now. I still think Paolo's doing a lot of really good things. But when he's doing a lot of really bad things, and there's a stretch in the Denver game, there's a stretch in the Utah game, there's a stretch in this game. When he's doing really bad things, the Magic look like a tanking team. The Magic just look really bad. They need the drumbeat of Paolo Banchero. That's always what I've said about Paolo Banchero is that he can be a constant drumbeat. He doesn't have to overwhelm. He doesn't have to take over games. He just needs to be a drumbeat. Just be consistent. Be that metronome that this team can count on to find their rhythm and calm the team down. And so, and maybe this deserves its own topic. Maybe this is something we need to talk about heading into Friday's game. Because obviously tomorrow's game tomorrow. Or tonight's game tonight. Right now, the Magic are not getting the kind of leadership and intensity they need from Paolo. Like, again, the problem in this game isn't so much about execution. Magic got to the basket. They got to the foul line, 18 for 26 from the foul line. They missed some free throws. Only Anthony Black and Jonathan Isaac accounted for 5 of the Magic's 8 missed free throws. No one else missed more than 1. Desmond Bane missing a free throw for the second straight game. That hurts. It wasn't an issue necessarily of execution until the fourth quarter when they, were like me in 2K when I get blown out and I'm just like throwing my controller around everywhere or throwing my hat around everywhere. They rage quit. They rage quit this game in the fourth quarter. The Magic need their leaders to bring their intensity up. And that, again, that's not necessarily Paolo's personality, and maybe Paolo can't tap into that or isn't tapping into that. But that's sort of what they need right now. And again, maybe Paolo can't get there right now. Maybe that's not something he's going to get to till later in the year because of the injury, because of whatever reason. They're not getting the Paolo they need. Like, I think we can all agree on that. And again, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, trade him, he's a bum. I'm not saying that. We expect more from Paolo Banchero. And the Magic are not getting what they need from him for the quality and talent that he is. We know he can be better. And maybe we have to accept that the jumper's never going to be around this year. But this Magic team is not going to do the things it wants to do if Paolo is passive, if Paolo isn't intense, if Paolo isn't making smart decisions. Right now, they go as Paolo goes. And Paolo's had some really good moments. and he's had some really bad moments. And the Magic have struggled to overcome those bad moments since his return, and certainly since Franz and Jalen Suggs injury. That's more than I wanted to say about Paolo today, but there you go. Everyone's talking about it. We can't avoid it. It's going to continue to be the story throughout the course of the season. Desmond Bane, I thought, was solid. 20 points, 8 for 16 shooting, 2 for 2 from beyond the arc. Both threes came in the first quarter. Magic really struggled. Honestly, like a big piece of this puzzle. Orlando had 21 assists on 36 field goals. Big piece of this puzzle is I think the Magic just kind of gave up on passing the ball. Kind of like Saturday, a lot of forcing the ball to Paolo. Just a lot of like line drives, head down to the basket drives. A lot of one pass possessions, no pass possessions. Magic just needed to move the ball a little bit. And look, they did try to move the ball. Like Jonathan Isaac fumbled it a few times. Wendell Carter fumbled it a few times. The Magic's best stuff came when they were passing and moving the ball inside out, just again, just getting the ball moving. And Golden State's a great defensive team. So again, they deserve credit here too. Orlando struggled to get the ball moving. Like pick and rolls were non-existent. Again, some of it's just like you're shooting 7 for 27 from 3. That's 25.9%. You just don't have a lot of faith in your shooting right now. And that's part of the issue. Desmond Bane was 2 for 2. Anthony Black was 2 for 5. No one else made more than 1 3. Jace Richardson was 1 for 3. Noah Penda was 1 for 2. That came late. Magic don't take a lot of threes to begin with. Like, this is why they probably need to find another shooter somewhere, or just they need more shooting. They need more three-point shooting. We're back to where we were 2 years ago, where the Magic are okay being a poor three-point shooting team because they're not a volume three-point shooting team. They're not taking a lot of threes. But the way teams are going to pack the paint against them, they're going to have to make some threes. And the threes just weren't fall. The threes are falling early, and that kept the Magic in the game. They did not fall in the second half. In the second half, Orlando shot 2 for 16 from 3. 2 for 16 from 3. First half, they were 5 for 11. You can survive on 5 for 11. Can't survive on 2 for 16. It's that simple. Anthony Black, I thought he played decently. 19 points, 8 for 12 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 6 rebounds. Did have 5 fouls, did have 2 turnovers. I want to give AB more credit for the defense he played on Steph Curry. Look, he had some silly touch fouls. The whole team did. The fouling was ridiculous. The Magic, and they fouled them. I'm not complaining about the foul calls. The Magic, I think, probably wanted some of those calls back on their end. But again, refs are going to reward the more aggressive team. Orlando was just lazy with their defense all game. And AB was guilty of that. But I do want to give AB credit. I thought he played really good defense on Steph Curry. Steph Curry did have 26 points. But he was only 10 for 23, 4 for 13 from 3, and only took 2 free throws, 2 for 2 from the foul line. He had 6 assists, so he's moving the ball. Orlando was really focused on getting the ball out of his hands. And again, maybe that was part of the problem. But I thought that AB did a good job contesting threes when Curry got them, keeping him off the three-point line, and just doing a good job chasing him and making him work to get open and really smothering him with his size. So I do think AB deserves credit for his defense. Again, like effort elsewhere was inconsistent. The Magic were really focused on stopping Curry and left holes everywhere else. So, again, maybe part of the defensive problems were just a special creature of the Magic were determined to play Curry a certain way, and the Warriors took advantage of that. That might just be the case. But I thought Anthony Black played really, really well. I want to give Tyus Jones his props. 7 points, only 2 for 6 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3, 4 assists, 4 steals for Tyus Jones. I thought he was really, really active. Highest plus minus on the team was Tyus Jones at +0. Just saying. This is a game, no one should complain about Tyus Jones. Like, yeah, he had some defensive lapses here, and the Magic were trying to hide him on Moses Moody. Yeah, Moses Moody had 20 points. But I thought Tyus was active defensively. I thought this was the best defensive game of the season, obviously. And I thought he was pretty good on offense. Magic probably needed to trust him a little bit more. Thought he did a good job getting into the paint, getting that floater game going, playing the way that I think we expect him to play. But all 7 of his points came in the first half. So Magic went away from him as the game went on, probably needed his composure a little bit more. Not a lot of scoring off the bench. Jace Richardson had 11 to lead the Magic in scoring off the bench, 5 for 11 shooting. Again, just rushing to the basket. I thought Jace did some good things, did some bad things, but really no one else got going. Jet Howard had 2 points. Noah Penda had 5. Jonathan Isaac 1. Goga Bitadze just 2 and 5 rebounds. Kind of a bad game for Goga Bitadze. 4 offensive rebounds, but couldn't score off of that. He was 0 for 3. A lot of just bad everywhere on this team. So again, I think Paolo some of the bad things that Paolo did were him saying, like, no one else has it. I have to take control. And he just didn't have the ability to take control the way he needed to. Dez, I think, tried to take control at various times too, but Dez can be really inconsistent finishing at the rim. He does that scoop shot. This is where like his lack of size and lack of wingspan hurts him. He does this little scoop shot, and when it works, it's really pretty. And when it doesn't, it's really ugly. And I think that's part of what happened in this game is the ugly sides of this team really came out. And the Magic, again, just like they couldn't Saturday and couldn't on Thursday against the Nuggets, they just couldn't stop the bleeding. And they were able to kind of keep themselves in the game. But once the Warriors found a groove and the Magic started making too many mistakes, it was just game over. It was just game over for this team. The Golden State Warriors defeat the Orlando Magic 122-97. Orlando closes this 4-game West Coast trip on Tuesday, tonight, tomorrow. I don't know when you're listening to this. Tonight against the Portland Trailblazers. And it's not a must win, but it'd be nice to have, and certainly a must better effort for the Magic. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himmel, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of my you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find us on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. If you need a last-minute holiday gift or someone keeps asking what you want, make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through LockedOnMagic.supercast.com. That's LockedOnMagic.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we're going to send you to the first ever 24/7 National NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On May, where I'm sure they will have more about the Magic's game against the Golden State Warriors. But that's good, dude, for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back again tomorrow to recap the Magic's game against the Portland Trailblazers. Until then, you just got 2 more shopping days until Christmas. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.